I walked through my front door carrying groceries from Costco and immediately knew something was wrong. The house was too quiet. I set the bags down in the kitchen and noticed my favorite coffee mug, the one my late wife Sarah gave me on our 30th anniversary, sitting in the dish rack. I never left it there. I always kept it in the cabinet next to the coffee maker. Then I heard it. Footsteps upstairs. In my bedroom, I climbed the stairs slowly, my knees protesting each step. The master bedroom door was wide open. Inside, my son-in-law Derek was drilling something into the wall, and my daughter Linda was arranging their clothes in my closet. My closet. My clothes were piled in garbage bags on the floor. "Dad, perfect timing," Linda said, not even looking up from the drawer she was reorganizing. Derek turned around, still holding the drill. "Yeah, Robert. So, we've been thinking. This room has the best internet signal in the house, and I need reliable connectivity for my job search. Plus, the ensuite bathroom is way more practical for us." I stood there, trying to process what I was seeing. "This is my bedroom. Was your bedroom?" Derek corrected, setting down the drill. "Look, we're doing you a favor here. The guest room downstairs is actually better for you at your age. Fewer stairs to deal with, less risk of falling. We moved all your stuff down there already." "You moved my belongings without asking me?" Linda finally looked at me, and I saw that expression I'd been seeing more often lately. The one that said I was old, that I didn't understand how things worked anymore. "Dad, don't be difficult. It's just practical. You're here alone in this big house. We needed a place to stay for a few weeks while Derek's job situation gets sorted out, and this just makes sense. The downstairs room is perfect for you." "Perfect for me?" I could feel my blood pressure rising. "This is my house, and we're family," Derek said, walking over and putting his hand on my shoulder like he was calming down a confused child. "We're not trying to kick you out or anything. We just need some space. And that master bedroom is sitting there being wasted on one person." I took a breath. "I know what you're thinking. Why didn't I just tell them to get out right then? Call the police? Change the locks? Here's what you need to understand. My late wife Sarah had been gone for 7 months. Linda was my only child. The grief was still fresh, and I'd been clinging to family, to connection, to not being completely alone. When Linda called 3 weeks ago saying Derek had been laid off from his job at the investment firm and they needed a place to stay temporarily, I said yes without hesitation. I thought I was helping my daughter. The last 3 weeks had been eye-opening. It started small. Derek using my bourbon without asking. Linda rearranging my kitchen, because it makes more sense this way. Them hosting their friends for dinner parties and not inviting me to my own dining room table, saying I'd probably prefer to eat in my room since their friends can get loud. But this, taking over my bedroom, this was different. "Pack your things," I said quietly. "Both of you, get out of my house." Derek laughed. Actually laughed. "Come on, Robert. Don't be dramatic. Where are we supposed to go? We're family. You're going to kick out your own daughter? You have until tomorrow morning." Linda's eyes filled with tears. "Dad, please. We have nowhere else. We'll pay rent if that's what you want. Derek's got some job interviews lined up. We just need a little more time." That's when I made my first mistake. I let the guilt work on me. I looked at my daughter, at those tears, and I thought about Sarah, about how she'd always put family first, about how she'd probably tell me I was being too harsh. "Fine," I said. "You can stay, but you're moving out of my bedroom. Today." "Dad, we already set everything up," Linda started. "Today," I repeated. "Or you leave." They moved their things back to the guest room upstairs. But I could see it in their eyes. They thought I was being unreasonable. They thought they'd done nothing wrong. That night, I couldn't sleep in the guest room downstairs. It smelled wrong. The mattress was too soft. I lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, and I realized something. My lawyer, Tom Chen, had told me something 6 months ago when we were updating my will after Sarah passed. He'd said, "Robert, in situations involving family and property, Documentation is everything. People's word means nothing in court. Evidence means everything. The next morning, I drove to Best Buy and spent 2 hours talking to a kid named Marcus, who couldn't have been older than 25. I told him I wanted to install security cameras in my house. For safety, I said. Makes sense, Marcus said. You'd be surprised how common home invasions are in nice neighborhoods. I bought 4 cameras. Marcus helped me pick ones that connected to my phone, that recorded continuously to the cloud, that had audio as well as video. I was surprised at how easy the technology was once someone explained it to me. I'd spent 40 years as a systems engineer for Boeing. I understood systems. I could learn new ones. I installed the first camera in the living room, angled toward the front door and the stairs. The second went in the kitchen, positioned to catch the table and the doorway. The third I mounted in the hallway upstairs, covering the bedroom doors. The fourth I put in my new downstairs bedroom, just above the door frame. Derek noticed them that evening. "What's with the cameras, Robert?" "Safety," I said. "At my age, you never know. If I fall or have a medical emergency, there's a record." He accepted that explanation. Why wouldn't he? Old man worried about falling. Made perfect sense. Over the next week, I watched. And I documented. I watched Derek spend 8 hours a day on my couch, laptop open, supposedly applying for jobs. But the camera caught his screen sometimes when he shifted position. He wasn't on LinkedIn or Indeed. He was on gambling websites, sports betting, online poker. I screenshotted everything my camera caught. I watched them order Thai food 3 times in 1 week, using my credit card that I'd given Linda for emergencies and groceries. When I checked my statement, there were charges at restaurants, at Target, at the Apple Store, over $2,000 in 1 week. I watched Derek take my car, my Lexus that Sarah and I had bought 5 years ago, without asking. He came back 5 hours later, smelling like cigarettes and beer. But the thing that really made my blood run cold happened on day 9. I was out having coffee with my old colleague Jim from Boeing when I got an alert on my phone. Motion detected in the living room. I pulled up the app. Derek and Linda were sitting on my couch with papers spread out on the coffee table. I turned up the volume on my earbuds. "I'm telling you, if we can get him into a decent assisted living facility, we can sell this place and split the money," Derek was saying. "This house would go for at least $800,000. Derek, he's not incompetent. He owns the house outright. We can't just sell it. Not yet. But we get power of attorney, claim he's got dementia or something, and then we can make financial decisions on his behalf." Linda was quiet for a long moment. "I don't know. That feels wrong. Bye. The purporting to me. The project. The purporting to me that I be and see there. The project. The purporting to me that I be and see there. The purporting to me there. The project. The project. The project. The project. The project." What feels wrong is us being broke while he sits on close to $1 million in real estate. Your mom would have wanted you taken care of. This is what families do. They help each other out. I sat there in that coffee shop, my hand shaking so hard I had to set down my cup. My daughter, my own daughter, was discussing putting me away so they could take my house. Jim noticed. "You okay, Robert?" "I need to go," I said. "I need to make a phone call." I called Tom Chen from my car, told him everything. The cameras, the credit card charges, the conversation I just overheard. "Don't confront them yet," Tom said immediately. "We need more. In Arizona, if they're living in your home, they may have established tenancy rights. If you kick them out without proper notice and procedure, they could actually sue you. But if we can prove elder abuse, fraud, or intent to commit fraud, that changes everything. What do you need? Keep recording. See if you can get Derek talking about this plan in more detail. And Robert, check your important documents. Mail, financial statements, anything they might have access to. Do it quietly." That night, after they'd gone to bed in the guest room, I went through my home office. Everything looked normal at first. Then I checked the file cabinet where I kept my financial documents. The folder with my house deed was there, but it had been moved. I'm meticulous about how I organize things. I always have been. The deed was supposed to be in a red folder labeled property. It was now in a blue folder labeled house. Someone had been going through my files. I checked my mail. There was a piece that looked like it had been opened and resealed. It was from my bank, confirming receipt of my power of attorney designation form. I never filled out a power of attorney form. My hands were shaking again as I called Tom's emergency number. It was 11 at night, but he answered on the second ring. They forged my signature, I said. There's a power of attorney document I never signed. Don't touch anything, Tom said. I'm calling the police. Robert, this is fraud. This is a felony. Wait, I said. My engineer's brain was clicking through scenarios. If we call the police now, we get them for the forgery. But what about everything else? The conversation about assisted living? The gambling? I want everything documented. Robert, 1 more week, I said. Give me 1 more week to gather evidence. Then we move. Tom was quiet. Then, okay. But Robert, be careful. People who are desperate enough to forge documents are desperate enough to do other things. If you feel unsafe for even a second, you call 911. Understood? Understood. The next day, I did something I'm not proud of. I pretended to be more confused than usual. I left the stove on after making coffee. I forgot where I'd put my keys. I asked Linda the same question twice. I could see Derek's eyes light up each time it happened. That evening, I overhead them in the kitchen. The camera caught everything. Did you see him today? Derek said. He asked me 3 times what day it was. He left the stove on. Linda, this is exactly what we need. I don't like this, Linda said. He seems worse suddenly. Because he is worse. Dementia progresses fast at his age. My mom went through this with my grandfather. Trust me, we need to move on that power of attorney now, before he gets diagnosed and the courts get involved. But he already signed it. I know. We need to use it. I've been looking at reverse mortgages. We can pull equity out of this house, get access to cash now, and when he eventually has to go into care, the house gets sold to pay back the loan. But by then, we'll have had access to the money we need. My daughter said something too quiet for the camera to pick up. Baby, your dad's loaded, Derek continued. He's got his Boeing pension, Social Security, probably 200 grand in savings. He doesn't need this house. We do. I've got debts that need paying, and my creditors aren't exactly patient people. There it was. Debts. Creditors who weren't patient. What kind of debts? Linda asked. Nothing for you to worry about. Just some bad investments. Look, I need about 50 grand to get clear. And then we're golden. The reverse mortgage gets processed. We get the lump sum, I pay off what I owe, and we start fresh. I saved that video clip 3 times to 3 different cloud accounts. The next morning, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. When I answered, a woman's voice said, Mr. Miller? This is Jennifer, from Summit Reverse Mortgage. I'm calling to confirm your appointment tomorrow at 10 a.m. to finalize your application. I didn't make an appointment, I said. There was a pause. Sir, we have an application here with your signature. Your son-in-law Derek coordinated everything. He said you were experiencing some memory issues, and he was helping you manage your affairs. Cancel it, I said. I'm not experiencing memory issues, and I never applied for a reverse mortgage. Another pause. Sir, I'll need to speak with Derek about this. He's listed as your power of attorney on the application. He's not my power of attorney. That document is fraudulent. I'll have to call you back, sir. I immediately called Tom. They submitted a reverse mortgage application. Used the forged power of attorney. That's it, Tom said. That's wire fraud. Federal crime. I'm calling the FBI White-Collar Crime Division and the local police. Robert, you need to get out of that house. Now. I'm not going anywhere. This is my house. Robert, they're not going to hurt me, Tom. They think I'm a confused old man. They think they're winning. Let them think that for 12 more hours. You get the police ready. I want them arrested in my living room. I want them to see that I'm not confused, that I documented everything, that they underestimated me. Tom was quiet for a long moment. You're sure? I'm sure. That afternoon, Derek came into my downstairs bedroom. I was sitting on the bed, looking at a photo album of Sarah and me in Sedona from 10 years ago. Hey, Robert. So, I got a call from the mortgage company. They said you canceled our appointment tomorrow? I looked up at him, making my eyes a little unfocused. What appointment? The reverse mortgage. Remember? We talked about this. You said it would be good to have some cash available for emergencies. Did we talk about that? He sat down next to me, and I could smell the desperation on him. Yeah, we did. Last week, you were worried about medical expenses, about what would happen if you needed care. The reverse mortgage gives you access to your home equity without having to sell. I don't remember that conversation. That's okay, he said, and his voice was so gentle, so condescending. That's why you have me and Linda, to help you with these decisions. So, I'm going to reschedule that appointment, okay? And this time, we'll all go together. I'll drive. Okay, I said quietly. If you think that's best. He squeezed my shoulder. I do. You're lucky to have family who cares about you, Robert. A lot of people your age aren't so fortunate. After he left, I sat there for a long time, looking at that photo of Sarah. I hope I'm doing the right thing, I whispered to her picture. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed, fully dressed, waiting, at 10 a.m. The next morning, the doorbell rang. Through my phone app, I could see 2 police officers and Tom Chen standing on my front porch. I could also see Derek and Linda in the living room, Derek quickly closing his laptop. I walked upstairs slowly and opened the door. Robert Miller? One of the officers said. That's me. We're here regarding a fraud complaint. Is Derek Simmons on the premises? Derek appeared behind me. What's this about? Mr. Simmons, we need you to come with us. We have evidence that you forged power of attorney documents and attempted to fraudulently obtain a reverse mortgage on property you don't own. I watched Derek's face go white. That's... Robert is confused. He has dementia. I was helping him manage his finances. I don't have dementia, I said clearly. And I never gave you permission to forge my signature or apply for a reverse mortgage. Linda came running. Dad, what's happening? Your husband committed fraud, I said. And you helped him plan it. I didn't. I never. She looked at Derek, then back at me. Dad, I didn't know he was forging anything. I swear, but you did know he was planning to put me in assisted living and sell my house. I pulled out my phone, pulled up the camera app, and played the video. Their voices filled the front hall. I'm telling you, if we can get him into a decent assisted living facility, we can sell this place and split the money. Linda's face crumpled. Dad, I'm so sorry. I never wanted. I told him it was wrong, but you didn't stop him, I said quietly. You didn't tell me what he was planning. The officer put handcuffs on Derek. Derek Simmons, you're under arrest for fraud, forgery, and attempted theft by deception. You have the right to remain silent. Derek was shouting something about his lawyer, about how this was all a misunderstanding, about how I was a senile old man who didn't know what he was doing. They led him out to the patrol car. Linda stood in the hallway, crying. I didn't know about the forgery. I swear I didn't. But you knew he had gambling debts, I said. You knew he was desperate. I'm your daughter. Yes, you are. And I loved your mother more than anything in this world. When she died, you're all I had left. I had to stop, had to take a breath, but you stood there and let your husband plan to take everything from me, to put me away like I was already dead. I'm sorry, she whispered. I need you to leave, I said. Tom will send you the formal eviction notice, but you need to be out in 3 days. The police aren't charging you because I asked them not to. But our relationship? I don't know if I can fix that. She left that afternoon. took her clothes, her toiletries, left everything else. I watched from the window as she loaded her car, crying the entire time. The house was quiet again. Too quiet. Tom came by that evening with papers for me to sign, official statements for the police. Derek's being held on $50,000 bail, he said. Apparently, those gambling debts were worse than Linda knew. He owes over 120 grand to some pretty unsavory people. He was desperate. How long will he go to prison? With the forged power of attorney? The attempted fraud? 3 to 5 years. Probably. Maybe more, if they dig up other victims. I nodded, feeling tired, feeling old. Did I do the right thing? Robert, he tried to steal your house, your home, everything you and Sarah built. Yes, you did the right thing. After Tom left, I sat in my master bedroom, the one I'd reclaimed. I looked at Sarah's side of the closet, still organized exactly how she'd left it. I hadn't had the heart to clear it out yet. I protected what we built, I said to the empty room. But I lost our daughter in the process. 3 days later, on Saturday morning, the doorbell rang. Linda was standing there. No Derek, no suitcases, just her. Can I come in? She asked. I stepped aside. We sat at the kitchen table, the same table where Sarah and I had eaten breakfast for 30 years, where we'd helped Linda with her homework, where we'd celebrated holidays. I filed for divorce, Linda said. Yesterday. My lawyer says it should be quick, since we don't have kids or shared assets. I didn't say anything. I was an idiot, Dad. I was so wrapped up in trying to fix Derek, in trying to make my marriage work, that I let him convince me you were the problem, that you were being difficult, that you didn't understand. She was crying again. But you understood everything, didn't you? I understood that my daughter stood by while her husband tried to take everything from me. I know. And I'm so sorry. I don't expect you to forgive me right away. Maybe not ever. But I want you to know that I'm getting help. Therapy. To figure out why I let him manipulate me like that. Why I chose him over you. I poured her a cup of coffee, the way Sarah used to. 2 sugars, splash of cream. Your mother used to say that family isn't about never making mistakes, I said. It's about what you do after you make them. What do I do? Linda whispered. You start by being honest. You tell me everything. Every conversation. Every plan. Every moment. When you knew something was wrong but said nothing. And then we see if we can build something from there. She told me everything. About how he'd been fired from his job 6 months ago, not laid off. About how he'd slowly isolated her from her friends, convinced her that I was difficult, that I was being unreasonable about them staying. When he said we should take your bedroom, I knew it was wrong, she said. But he made it sound so logical. Like we were actually helping you by giving you the easier room. Do you understand why I can't just forgive you immediately? I asked. Yes. But do you also understand why I'm not telling you to leave and never come back? She looked up at me, hope breaking through the tears. Yes, because you're my daughter. Because your mother loved you more than life itself. Because everyone deserves a chance to make things right. But Linda, this is your only chance. If you ever let someone convince you to hurt me again, we're done. Do you understand? I understand. She moved into a small apartment across town. She got a job at a marketing firm. She started therapy. Every Sunday, she came over for breakfast. We didn't talk about Derek or what had happened. We just talked about work, about her therapy, about memories of Sarah. It took 6 months before I really trusted her again. 9 months before I let her have a spare key. A year before, I felt like I had my daughter back. Derek got 4 years in federal prison. Apparently, the reverse mortgage fraud was just one of several schemes he'd been running. Linda's divorce was final before his trial even started. As for me, I learned some valuable lessons. I learned that documentation is everything. That trust is something that can be broken and sometimes, if you're lucky, rebuilt. I learned that being old doesn't mean being powerless, but it does mean being strategic. And I learned that sometimes the people who underestimate you are the ones who give you the biggest advantage. I still live in my house, the one Sarah and I bought 40 years ago. I still sleep in my master bedroom. The cameras are still there, but now they really are just for safety. Linda's name is back in my will, but this time, there's a clause that says the inheritance is held in trust for 5 years before she can access it. Tom's idea. Last Sunday, Linda brought over bagels and we sat in the kitchen, right where she used to do her homework. She told me about a promotion she's up for at work. She asked about my plans to finally clean out Sarah's side of the closet, offering to help when I'm ready. I'm proud of you, I told her. She started crying. After everything I did, you made a terrible mistake. But you owned it. You fixed it. You're doing the work to make sure it never happens again. That's what your mother would have wanted. That's what I want. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I love you, Dad. I love you too, sweetheart. It's not the same as it was before. I don't know if it ever will be, but it's something. It's a chance. And sometimes, that's enough. If you're going through something similar, here's what I want you to know. You're not crazy for setting boundaries. You're not mean for protecting yourself. You're not obligated to let people hurt you just because they're family. Document everything. Get a good lawyer. And remember that being kind doesn't mean being a doormat. I'm 68 years old. I spent 40 years building a life with my wife. No one gets to take that from me just because they think I'm too old to fight back. Trust me, I'm not.